Sports Focus is what you're watching. My name is Mike Ainomcha, and this is the very first episode this semester. We are back in yet another show talking about sports from across the country, the world, and from where you get your sports. Today I'm joined by Ronald Ochoa, who is our panelist on this very episode. Him and I are going to be discussing sports from across the world. Hi, Ronald.
Hello.
Say hi to our viewers.
Yes, thank you very much for joining us in the Sports Focus. Today I'm joined with Michael. We're going to be discussing a lot of topics from local to international stories.
Yeah. Ronald, last weekend we had a FIFA TV Cup where traditional schools were competing. Give us a highlight and a background about the FIFA TV Cup.
Well, the FIFA TV Cup started on 10th, that's Saturday.
Yeah.
The first game was between Makerere College School against Mengo SS at Mark Grounds, where Mengo SS beat Makerere College School at their home yard 4 goals to 1. I think for starters, Makerere College School and Mengo SS are not so much known in football, but because of the FIFA TV Cup, new arrangement, I think it's giving the new students a new platform to showcase their talents. In the previous Coca-Cola tournament, they wouldn't manage to qualify because of obvious reasons. But I think this time around, these students will get opportunities to showcase their talent and probably get clubs that will get interest. And then the next game was against Namilyango College and Kira College Butiki. It happened in Jinja. Namilyango College lost the game 2 goals to 1, having gone in front in first half. I think Namilyango College basically tried their luck. They did all they could, but they didn't manage to get any points. Kudos to Kira College Butiti, who did better. Then on Sunday yesterday we had 2 games. Busoga College Muri taking on Jinja College. Jinja College edged Busoga College Muri 1-0. And then the big game of the day was against St. Mary's College against King's College Budo in Kisubi. Then Kisubi beat King's College Budo 2 goals to 0. First goal was scored in first half by Captain Mahad Mobiru, then in second half by Griffin Mwesigwa. So I think Kisubi actually had a smooth run. It was a good game for them based on the fact that they were on home soil.
FIFA Cup comes at a time where we have Coca-Cola going on. I was listening to one of the local radio stations, and one of the organizers said that this is a competition to allow local schools to compete because the other schools have been investing in the football, yet traditional schools have not been investing, and yet footballers or students have talents. What's your take on this new arrangement by the FIFA TV?
The new arrangement, actually, I'm a fan of it to an extent, based on the fact that on the Coca-Colas, I think we have been having predetermined qualifications for the Coca-Cola. We have schools that you presumably know that they are going to make it through.
In semi-finals or finals.
So I think schools like Namilyango College, St. Mary's College, Kisubi, they didn't have that opportunity of making it through. So FIFA came up with that new edition of involving the traditional schools, And on a Twitter, I read on Twitter for FIFA President Magogo, he highlighted how these students will eventually go into the corporate world and maybe sponsor sports. So it's important to involve them in sports this early. So that was the FIFA President's take on that initiative. But I think this being the first edition, it has few schools majorly from Uganda region and Busoga. But the next editions will involve schools from the other regions, northern region, western, West Nile, and the southern side. So the first edition has basically traditional schools around Buganda and Busoga region.
Well, this tournament, I've seen games are in the morning and afternoon. Is it because of the few numbers of teams that are involved, and they're happening over the weekend?
I think as well, this is a new competition, and new competition is sort of squeezed into the new set, the already existing set. So on this new competition, I think, of course, you need to cater for the academics as well. That's why it happened on the weekend, on Saturday and Sunday. So I think it's in line to cater for the academic phenomenons as well,
Yeah, well, away from that, dear viewer, you're watching the Sports Focus, and my name is Mike. I'm joined with Ronaldo Troy. We are discussing local sports, and before we go for a break, we shall talk about the Uganda Cranes. This weekend on the 18th of June, we are having the AFCON qualifiers, where Uganda Cranes will be playing Algeria. But let's have a look at it.
You are watching UCU Focus TV.
Well, Uganda Cranes is having a home game, though it's not in Uganda. Uganda Cranes is playing Algeria in Cameroon. What's your take on the Uganda Cranes?
Well, Uganda Cranes has gathered a fairly good squad. I think basing on the game time that the players have been having and or something of all that sort. I think playing away in Cameroon is a disadvantage to Uganda. Having been informed by the Minister of Sports, Peter Gwang, that we are assured of playing at Nambole. But I think there are several difficulties that didn't make that event happen.
Yeah.
So our games were forwarded to Cameroon, to Hala, that city. So Uganda is going to be hosting its home game away. And we have called upon a formidable squad, in my view. I think we should work on our defense, right? And the midfield, because the squad that Algeria has called through, I think it's a very strong squad for us to manage. And somebody will inevitably say that Algeria is going to pass through Uganda. But as long as we keep our defense line well, we can manage to work on the midfield. You're counting on players like Khalida Hucho in the midfield.
What's been on form in the...
What's been phenomenal for Yanga FC of Rwanda, and he reached the finals of CAF Confederations Cup. He's going to be coming up against Ramiz Zerouki of Algeria, who plays for FC Twente in the Dutch Eredivisie. So I think it's going to be a stiff competition given Zerouki's physicality, how he handles the ball and all that stuff. So I think Algeria is giving Uganda one of the best tests of the year. I think Algeria's test this year will show Uganda what it needs to do, because defensively, okay, we've called upon a lot of local-based players. We have Kenneth Semakula of KCCA, we have Gift Fred around, and one of the leading top scorers of last season, Charles Bale for FC Villa, is as well in the squad, in line to make his debut if given the opportunity. But we have other players in the ranks, players like Fahad Bayo, who has been playing well for MFK Viskov in Czech Republic, is as well in the squad. Farouk Mia has been playing well for Czech Rizespor in Turkey as well. I think Uganda needs to play the defense cards right, because I think Algeria is going to be very attack-minded against Uganda. People like Mahrez, Islam Slimani, they're going to be looking for the goals straight up.
True.
Yeah, they're playing a
Cutting you short, don't you think the Uganda Cranes will be short of home support? Because whenever teams would come to Uganda, especially in Nambole, they would find it hard to get a win or a draw from the stadium at Nambole. Don't you think the Uganda Cranes will miss that while they are playing in Cameroon?
Actually, Uganda has been missing that for a long time. Even at St. Mary's Stadium, the turn-up wouldn't match those ones of Nambole those days. So I think Uganda has been missing that for a while now, and I would predict that they should have gotten used to that already. But given that they're playing in Cameroon, no home support, I think is another factor that's going to give us a hard ride against Algeria.
Yep. Away from that, the Uganda League, which is the Uganda Premier League, ended in such a competitive way, and we've seen a lot of talents involved in the collapse of the Uganda Cranes. Don't you think it's high time we involve the local players to compete on the national team?
Yeah, I think Mitchell's system lately has been about incorporating the two players, the foreign base and the local base, together to create that sort of steady run for the team. I think it's not bad. You know, our locally based players, our league is not yet
that competitive.
Competitive and professional as you described compared to other leagues like the APSA Premier, the South African Premiership, and the North African League. So the competitiveness is still lacking in an element. So I think getting the few players that are getting playing time and consistent in their performance it's a push up for them as well. You know, when you're playing locally and you call for the national team, it's like a push forward for you. So I think they really need that as well. But what we need as a country is we need players that are having game time and consistency in terms of performance. Because we have some players, for example, we have a right back, Gavin Kizito. Yeah, last time I checked his statistics, he had like 2 appearances for his club in Egypt, Al Ittihad, Alexandria. So I think there's playing outside but not getting playing time, and then there's playing in Uganda when you have game time. So I think the priority should be given to those ones getting playing time, in order to get the best out of them.
Yeah, that's it for Uganda Cranes. And away from that, we shall be going to the international scene. Before we go for an international scene, follow us on our Twitter at UCU Focus TV. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, and remember to keep it #Focus Sports.
You are watching UCU Focus TV.
Sports Focus is what you're watching. My name is Mike, and I'm joined with Ronaldo Troy. We are discussing sports, and now we are straightly heading up to the international scene. Over the weekend, we had the Champions League, UEFA Champions League finals, against Manchester City from England against Italians, Inter Milan, in a game that was so competitive as we expected. A few names came in to highlight this game and give comments about the game, even before the game. Man City to be dominating, but it was not the case on the field. And Ronald, what was your take on the Champions League?
Well, the Champions League was a very tough competition this time round. Yeah, I started by looking at the formations of the team, the way they played out. The way Man City played out as 3-2-4-1, and then Inter Milan played 3-5-2. So I think what made life hard for Man City basically was the compatibility of midfield. If you look at that midfield of Brozovic, Barella, and his crew, Çalhanoğlu, and all those guys. Yeah, I think Inter Milan basically has a number of players that have individual qualities among themselves that made life hard for Manchester City. Defensively, look at Brozovic. He tried very hard in the first half. Look at Çalhanoğlu. He was both defensive and offensive in nature. And then Barella was obviously offensive in his approach. But basically, I think the formations of the teams made life hard for the other. Man City played a 3-2-4-1, and Inter Milan was playing a 3-5-2. And the individual brilliances of players in Inter Milan made life hard for Manchester City. As compared to, in Premier League, there's some clubs that have players, like you have 3 or 4 players of individual quality, but if you look at Inter Milan, almost
starting from the goalkeeper
to the centre forward, Edin Dzeko, everyone had an element of quality in them that they outplayed that day. If you look at Dimarco, the way he made life hard for Bernardo Silva and all that stuff, all the interceptions he was making for the crosses that were trying to go in that right flank. I think those are the factors that made life hard for Man City.
Besides the quality, you would see that Inter Milan was using the factor of pedigree somehow. Because Man City, we've known them, the way they punished Real Madrid at Etihad. It's not the way they approached the game against Manchester City. Don't you feel like pedigree played a factor and a role in the final?
Well, to an extent, I think it played as well. But generally, I think both clubs, they were determined for the final. Because I read tweets from players like Andre Onana. He was saying they have to win the final no matter what. He doesn't know how they're going to win it. So such determinations by players as well played a role in the final. It's like they brushed aside Man City's brilliance. We're looking at the trophy and that's our goal. They didn't look at Man City's qualities and possessions in the past. They were looking at the trophy and how they're going to get it, and that's what Inter Milan basically did.
Which players stood out for you on both sides?
Well, for Man City, I think offensively, I think Bernardo Silva played very well, contained the ball. In second half, he made life hard for Dimarco. And then defensively, I give strong credits to Ruben Diaz. Yeah, there's that last minute defensive header he did that I think if it was another player would have been an own goal. But he was very intelligent to defend that ball outside. And then on the other opposite side of Inter Milan, I think Çalhanoğlu played his role well, tried his chances, but things weren't working for him. Barella moved inches, but things were not working.
Bastoni?
Bastoni defensively actually held Haaland very well.
Very well.
Yeah, and then not Haaland, I mean Ashabi. Ashabi, the tall defender. I think he held Haaland very well, but Bastoni as well played a very good role on that left flank.
True.
Yeah, but the goalkeeper Onana, he did his role very well as well.
It was so good.
Yeah, it was very phenomenal, especially on the first strike by Haaland.
Haaland.
Yeah.
That save was so spectacular.
Yeah.
Still on the Champions League, we had Europa League, which was won by Sevilla. They're dominating the trophy year by year. And we also had Europa League Conference, which was won by West Ham.
Yeah.
We've had 2 European champions coming from England. What's your take on other competitions in the UEFA category?
Well, to some extent, somebody would think that the Europa League was scripted. Like every time Sevilla moves closer to hit, they have to take it.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do that, but that level of determination Sevilla has is unmatched so far. It's so far unmatched because winning Europa League 7 times, it's something very phenomenal for Sevilla. And the gratitude in which they win it, you know, they have not been playing well in that league.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, in La Liga they've been very poor, but in
They were not qualifying for Europe.
So I think they did that as a consolidation. They consolidated the Europa League in favor of the La Liga.
True. And still, we've had a lot of transfer news going on, and teams are buying in players, selling players, transfers in and out. And we have had a few. Most recently confirmed is Yuli Treisman from Leicester City, who have been relegated recently to Aston Villa. It is a confirmed deal. What are some of the transfers that you've come across?
Well, that transfer of Yuri Tillemans leaving Leicester City, who are relegated, and joining Aston Villa. I think basically when the clubs get relegated, their top players tend to leave, especially those ones in the last stages of their contracts. Yeah. So I think a couple of other players are expected to leave Leicester City. People like Daniel Amate are expected to leave. Chagla Soyuncu as well.
Already it is almost confirmed to Atletico Madrid.
Yeah, so I think Leicester City is going to lose a couple of players. For Maddison as well, I expect him to move.
Leicester and Tottenham are eyeing him so well.
I expect players like Maddison to move on as well. But talking about transfers, you look at players like teams like Man United. They have players that are actually interested in moving on. People like Axel Disasi at AS Monaco is actually very interested in coming to Manchester.
According to La Parisienne.
So I think basing on his playing style and performance in recent seasons, I think they need to get a right back player like Disasi, because there's an element of inconsistency in
Varane.
Not only Varane, but the Portuguese right back, Diogo Dalot. And then Wan-Bissaka, he has his ups and downs, but I think they need Axel Disasi to neutralize,
who can play defensive and wing right back.
And also to pose competition for the current players, the players that are already existing. So you need a player like Axel Disasi, who is a French national team player already, but he plays down in AS Monaco. So I think they need him to back up the players to improve
and top the game. Talking about still Man United, Mason Mount, who is eyeing a move to Manchester United, although the transfer bid submitted, that has not yet been submitted, seems to be too much. Of 70 million pounds, is he worth that money?
Basing on his performance last season, I think that would be a lot of money spent on players.
And
like that.
The fact that 1 year contract, that is 1 year that is remaining on his contract, 70 million would not be an ideal for Manchester United that is looking to rebuild and strengthen the squad.
Yeah, I think that one plays down to the player agreeing, to the clubs, Chelsea and United agreeing on the deal, and then the player agreeing personal terms with the team. Yeah, otherwise the price rating is a bit high in comparison to a player's performance or what he brought on table last season. So I think it's just a subject of clubs agreeing and the player acknowledging the personal terms, and then the deal will happen.
That's great. How about Man City? Haven't they making deals? We've seen already rumors are linking Gundogan away from Manchester City.
Yes, as Gundogan gets linked away, Man City is as well linked with players like Kovacic,
from Chelsea,
whom they're planning to get from Chelsea as well. And I think he's close to agreeing a deal with Manchester City. And I think they want to add in some other midfielders as well to back up that formation. But I think they need to as well maybe send a player like Calvin Phillips on loan somewhere to get playing, because last season it wasn't his at all. He didn't get any opportunity.
Wow.
Having won the treble.
Well, we've seen a wave of European giants leaving Europe for Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
So far we have Cristiano Ronaldo and Karim Benzema, who are Ballon d'Or winners and UEFA Champions League title holders. What's your take on the new wave of, we've first had MLS, we had the China Super League, and now it is the Saudi Arabia. What's your take on that?
Yeah, well, that wave is coming basically on two reasons, on my perspective. The first one being the age factor, then the second one being the money factor.
True.
The age factor is contributing because, you know, most of these players, if you look at their ages, they are over 33, over 34. These are players in their last rungs of the career.
True.
So, what a better way to have your career completed in a league where you get more money. You get
You're not applied on pressure.
Yeah,
like
the
so
Arab
much.
League, it's offering more money and it's giving you all the playing time you need.
True.
And basing on the age, you know, when you become older, your body is not very concurrent with the competition levels
Very
of the
much.
young players, the fastness and all that stuff. The pace, your pace reduces. So Benzema, players like Benzema, they're now trying to consolidate their paces, their ages and all that stuff. So you want to play in a league where you do things at your own pace, you get. And
True.
And the money factor, it's like the top most reason for their going, because what's a better way to end your career with more money?
With
you
more
get?
money, true.
Yeah, true.
You're watching Sports Focus. My name is Michael Ainomcha, and I'm joined with Ronald Ochoa. We're discussing sports from Uganda. We talked about the Uganda League, FIFA Cup TV, FIFA TV Cup, and a few other elements of the sports.
You are watching UCU Focus TV.
You're still watching the Sports Focus on UCU Focus TV. Remember to follow our hashtag Sports Focus on Twitter, and follow us on Twitter at UCU Focus TV. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube. And Ronald, before we leave, what's your last shot to our viewers on Sports Focus?
Well, stay tuned for more sports updates, majorly in football and all that stuff. Yeah, we shall get you all the details that you need in time.
What's your prediction on the Uganda Cranes game against Algeria?
Well, I personally think Algeria is going to take a win in Uganda.
Yeah.
Yeah, being away in Douala, Cameroon, I think Algeria is going to take a win, a formidable win from Uganda. I don't want to give the numbers, but I think Algeria is taking a win.
That's it from Ronald, and my name is Michael. Thank you for watching the Sports Focus, and this is the show from where you'll be getting your sports updates, news, commentary and analysis every week. And my name is Michael Numsha. See you next week.